Hello, everyone. As you know, one of the most popular questions on the current SAT is to be able to support and back up your answer. Under the information and idea section of the SAT, you'll find 6 major question categories. Under the second bullet here, we will need to find evidence within a passage that best supports a particular conclusion. Now, this evidence question will usually come in 2 types. The first type being the most popular, the best evidence questions. Now, it's best to remember that that was a best evidence question that heavily relies on the answer to a previous question. I know some of you are scratching your heads and asking yourself, didn't we talk about best evidence questions in one of our previous lessons? And the answer is, yes, we did. Or in other words, a linked question. But what we're going to be talking about today is actually the citing evidence questions that don't rely on any previous questions. It's usually pretty obvious that we're dealing with a citing evidence question by the obvious line references. Okay? But just keep in mind, they don't always have line references. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And I know, the best evidence questions look like the same thing, but the obvious difference is that these questions don't contain the word best evidence in it and the word previous in it, okay? And it's a standalone question. But to be quite honest, from what I've seen so far on the best evidence questions, they actually dominate the standalone citing evidence questions in a ratio of probably 5 or 6 to 1, okay? So for every 6 or so best evidence questions you will see, you'll probably only see one citing evidence question, okay? One with a line or one without a line. But regardless, we still need to cover this lesson as it does appear on the test. So if we take a look at question number 49 from this actual College Board test, we can see that we're dealing with a citing evidence question because we see the trigger word, best supports. We also see a series of line references in the answer choice and do not see the word previous in the question. Well, contrary to best evidence questions where we simply need to rely on the previous answer and then use tones to match our answers, for citing evidence questions, we need to do something slightly different, which is to find the clue word first. In this question, who can tell me what the clue word is?
Kilotoa.
Well, right and wrong at the same time, okay? Generally, Kilotoa, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, will give us a closer idea as to where to look, but we also need to focus on the bigger picture in the question here, which is the concept that Kilotoa was not responsible for the Little Ice Age. Okay, that nice little, small little phrase there. In fact, that whole phrase was the key word, okay? And now in order to support the claim that Kilotoa was not responsible for the Ice Age, I simply have to go to the specified lines in the answer choices and see which one supports that claim. Seeing how I like to go from bottom up, let's check choice D first. Lines 71 through 75. But when Levine's team examined shards of volcanic glass from this volcano, they found that they didn't match the chemical composition of the glass found in the polar ice cores. Wow, that's pretty strong evidence that Kilotoa was not responsible for the Ice Age. I mean, it didn't even match. It's almost like a detective claiming that Tinko was the murderer, but after the crime lab forensic team examined the evidence, they said that the fingerprints on the gun do not match Tinko's fingerprint. That statement from lines 71 to 75 basically states that Kilotoa was not responsible, okay? So D is a very strong indicator that it is the right answer so far. But if we, just for fun, run through the other 3 choices, this will give you a really good idea as to how the SAT will try to trap us. Choice C, 43 through 46. The researchers then began to reconstruct the formation of the large 800-meter deep caldera, a basin-shaped volcanic crater that now sits atop the volcano. This statement simply stated that the scientists started to reconstruct something. It doesn't say who's at fault or who's not at fault. C is out. And what about choice B? Such a sudden onset pointed to a huge volcanic eruption, injecting sulfur into the stratosphere and starting the cooling.
This doesn't say anything about Kilotoa and if it was responsible for the Ice Age, so that's out.
And what about A? Identifying the volcano responsible has been tricky. Obviously, this statement further makes mess of things by stating that we don't know which volcano is responsible, neither confirming nor not confirming the statement that Kilotoa was responsible for the Ice Age. Therefore, we were right in selecting D as the answer. Okay, so in our next lesson, let's go over one more sample question from the College Board website, and then tackle a few more best evidence questions.